Hi, hi, hi. Welcome to the Guided with God podcast. My name is Julie Taylor and I'm your host, and I am not God. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm not even a scriptorian, though I am beginning to think that I'd like to explore learning more scriptures. I'm just a girl. I'm literally just a girl sitting in front of a microphone, hoping God is real. The Guided with God podcast is the daily devotional podcast, the one and only designed to help you see divinity in every day. I changed it up. You were quoting it along with me until I threw you a curveball, huh? Okay. I actually think the closest I could ever get to being a pop star is someone ever reciting that opening back to me. It's the closest I'll ever get. And my sister did it to me last week. So I guess my dreams have come true, which is actually a perfect segue because today I'd like to talk about dreams, not like what I dreamt about last night. I'd like to talk about dreaming in life. Like, what are your hopes and dreams? So I woke up in the middle of the night the other day, and I do this a lot, and there's like a note in my notes app of like something that I thought in the middle of the night, and most of the time it's garbage and not even coherent. But I just have this like line that said, dreams are made to be outgrown. You don't know how good it's going to get yet. I was like, I can't do an episode about this. I don't even know why I wrote that, and I actually don't believe it to be true. Dream bigger dreams. You don't know how good it's going to get yet. But then I was talking to a friend yesterday who's been through a lot of hell in the last 5 years, 10 years. And she's going through something kind of happy and exciting right now. And we both are kind of like bracing for impact constantly. And she's the same friend who told me not too long ago when I was telling her about something good that was happening in my life, but I put it all through a negative lens, like, but it's probably not going to work out. And I'll probably fall through and I'll probably suck at it and I'll probably disappoint everyone. She was like, or this could just be a really great thing that's happening for you. It could be a really exciting, great thing that's happening for you. But when you have like trauma and grief and a dark, cynical brain, you just don't even entertain that possibility. Like you constantly believe in the unexpected, but you believe that you're going to be like smacked in the face, blindsided with trauma, tragedy, and everything bad. It's great. It's really a fun way to live. So she said that to me, but then I was able to kind of say it back to her of like, hey, what if this is just that good? And what if it gets to be that good? And there's not some dark flip side to it. And the rug's not about to be pulled out from under you. Like, what if it is just this good? And it was just making me think. It made me think again of that thing in my notes app that apparently I believed in the middle of the night is that you're meant to outgrow your dreams and that you don't even know how good it could be. And I want that to be true. And so I'm going to choose to believe it because we have that power, because our brains actually have that power, which is so freaking cool. Neuroscience, man, we get to decide. Let's build some new neural pathways around that belief. And soon that will be your actual reality that you live in, is that you're a person who believes and expects good things to happen. And that's really an exciting prospect. So let's all work on that. But it made me think about this concept that I developed, realized, learned, articulated back when we were moving a lot. Every time I moved, and I actually really like moving, and so it was usually a pretty positive experience for me, but it is a lot of work, a lot of effort, and there's a lot of sacrifice involved every time. What I learned is that every time you process a change of any type, any change, even changing your haircut, what you are losing is what's tangible. What you are gaining is what's hypothetical because you haven't experienced it yet. So even if you think you know, like if you're changing houses and you're like, oh, we're going to have a bigger kitchen, you still don't know what it's like to have a bigger kitchen. So it's still an intangible hypothetical gain. But what you do know is what you're losing, your current reality, your current circumstances. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. But when we're making a change and we're uncomfortable and it's scary, we usually find ourselves like holding on so tight to these things that we don't want to lose. And so we're saying, oh, this change is going to be bad because I'm losing this and I'm losing this and I'm losing this, because we actually can't see the hypothetical gains yet. That should be like a gym's motto. Make your hypothetical gains a reality. Because I'd like some gains in my glutes. And if you could make that a reality, I'd sign up. Okay, so if you're processing a change here, think about that. What you can lose, what you're losing is tangible, what you're gaining is hypothetical. And that can go both ways, because it's also usually in change, there's some things we're excited to be letting go of, excited to move on. And there's usually some things that we can find in the future that are good. But the way that our brains work, you're going to be afraid because you're basing everything off of, this is what I have now and I'm losing it. And I don't know what I'm going to gain because that's uncertain. And so when it comes to dreams and dreaming and what you want your life to be and where you can go, one of my favorite things about letting God call the shots in my life the best I can. I mean, I'm a control freak. I'm holding on pretty tight. But One of my favorite things about trying over the last few years, trying so hard to align my will with God's and to want what God wants and to live in a way that I believe is aligned with divinity, is that and this is so cheesy, so brace yourself. I see it, I'm aware. I believe that God has bigger dreams and plans for me than I could ever have for myself. And not just bigger, because like I don't actually want big plans. I want to stay home. But like more fulfilling, more joyful. And I think that's literally on a sticker somewhere. Like God has big plans for me. Like God can do more with me than I can do with myself. God can take me places I can't take myself. And so I have felt like when I incorporate divinity in my life, I'm on a path to more joy and fulfillment and goodness than I ever could find on my own path without that alignment. You know that trend of everyone's like, "Oh, if my 11-year-old self could see me now." My 11-year-old self would punch me in the face and be like, "You effing loser, you ruined everything." Like, you have a minivan, you live in Provo, Utah, you have a bunch of kids. Like, I did everything that she never wanted to do. She never wanted any of this for me. I'm a terrible disappointment to my 11-year-old self, okay? She wanted to be like a hot girl on the East Coast. I don't know. But here's the thing. I love my 11-year-old self. She shouldn't actually call the shots. And that 11-year-old self is still within me. And that's great. We love honoring our inner child. But what I want for myself is not always best. I want to lay in bed. I want to never drink water. I want, like, these are the things that if I'm left to my own devices that I want. But when I step outside of that and I do what is right or what I am called or inspired to do, when I do hard things, when I get uncomfortable, and this is actually a whole other episode, but when I align my life with God's priorities, it takes me places that I never would have taken myself. But even though it might be harder and less comfortable and involve more heartbreak, it also is the path to actual joy and peace and fulfillment that I never would have found on my own. That to me is why it's worth saying, let go and let God, and being willing to do these things that we feel pulled or inspired to do, even when they're hard, even when they're uncomfortable, and even when we'd rather not. I do think the other side of that is fulfillment, joy, and peace that we would never find on our own, just on our own little path in the wilderness, okay? I hope you find divinity today, and I hope that it takes you on an uncomfortable, painful, terrible path to joy, fulfillment, and peace, because unfortunately, I think that's how we get there. Love you. Bye.